Nana Ayebia Clarke. I come from Ghana, born in Ghana, brought up in Ghana. I speak 3 Ghanaian languages, Ga, Chi, and Ada. I went to a sweet little primary school called Bombawaleshi Presby Primary School, which is on the way to Dodowa. It's still there. And I think 4 or 5 years ago when I went home, I went to visit them to take them some books. And I've written some children's books. So I took them copies of Kweku and the Goat and the Ashanti Golden Stew. And they were so excited. Even the local chief, the chief of the village, was wheeled out, you know, and said, "Oh, our daughter has come from London." Well, London, everything is London to them. I said, "No, I've come from Oxfordshire." So yeah, and then here I did my first degree at the Open University and got an honours degree, and then applied to do my master's at Oxford, and went to the interview and I passed. So the rest, as they say, is history. I was at Regent's Park College. I graduated in 2001 and I read Women's Studies. I really enjoyed my course, and my tutors were very, very encouraging and very sort of guiding you onto the right path. But they were always looking for new challenges for me, which I absolutely adored. Well, I chose Oxford, one, because I was already working at Heinemann Educational Books, which is based here in Oxfordshire. But I chose Oxford because I wanted to go to one of the best universities in the world, if not the best university in the world. You know, Oxford is got this, you know, prestige, this ambience, this excellence wrapped around it. And I think Oxford, for me, I just wanted to be at the center of excellence and learning. So yes, Oxford, rather than for proximity, but also I wanted the credibility and the prestige that comes with an Oxford degree. I had to work very, very hard for it though. It was not easy. I have my own publishing house. In 2002, I was working as an editor for the African Writer series. It's very, very well famous series at Heinemann here in Oxford. And then the company decided, the publishing house decided to discontinue publishing new titles in the African Writer series. So the whole department was closed, and I was the submissions editor, the acquisitions person. I brought in the manuscripts. So in effect, if they weren't publishing anything new, there was no role for me. And so I was made redundant in 2002. And then they re-employed me for a year as a consultant while they were trying to sort out what to do with the backlist, because the backlist is very, very well used in African ministries of education, and also in places like the US, where they have huge African studies courses. And so the authors were not actually told about closing the series. So there was a lot of anger and controversy. And I think Heinemann, knowing that I was very close to the authors, re-employed me for a year. And basically I went around to quench fires. You know, I went out to talk to the authors. So I went to the late Chinua Achebe. I went to see him at Bard College. I went to see Ngugi, and I went to see Mecheta and Amataidu. I went to see quite a lot of them to try and calm down waters and say, don't worry, your books are still there. They're going to be republished, they're going to be relaunched, but they're not publishing anything new. So yeah, and at the end of that year, 2003, I set up my own publishing house, Ayebia Clarke Publishing, based in Banbury. So I'm still in Oxfordshire, but just not in Oxford anymore. And so Ayebia has been going since 2003. We published a lot of books, including the Nobel laureates, Wole Soyinka's books, and Amataidu, Titi Dangarengba, and Nigerian writers, Ken Saro-Wiwa, and we're still going. Martin Eglewogbe is a new one that we did recently, a brilliant writer from Ghana. It's been rewarding. I'll say, because in 2011 I was awarded the MBE by Her Majesty the Queen, and at the time, because I didn't have a British citizenship, I was rewarded Honorary MBE. It's still an MBE. The difference is you don't go to the palace to see the Queen. You go to the civic ceremony, which was, for me, was done by Jeremy Hunt, the current Minister of Health. But a couple of weeks after that, I was invited to St. James's Palace by Prince Charles. So I did get to meet a royal, and I was very, very pleased about it. I have a photograph of Prince Charles and I at the St. James's Palace, which I feel is a kind of reward for not being able to see Her Majesty. You know, so I feel really pleased about it. I'm very proud of my MBE, and it was given to me for services to the British publishing industry. So it was given to me for publishing. It has also been quite challenging being in publishing, because you're basically running your own business. You have to find the writers, you have to find money to do publishing, you have to market it widely, you have to travel to conferences and tell people about your book. So I've just returned from Yale this week, where I was attending the African Literature Association conference, where something like 600 academics from around the world were attending. So those are kind of good spaces where people who teach African studies, who are, you know, African studies scholars, come to find out what are the latest trends in writing and criticism and all that goes with African studies. I think the publishing industry in Africa today is actually in very good hands. I say that because there is a crop of young writers coming up, and I'll mention just a few. We've got from Ghana, we've got Taye Selassie, we've got Majesty, and we've got Martin Eglewogbe from Nigeria. You've got, well, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and you've got Sefi Atta, and you've got quite a lot of young writers coming up, and, you know, sort of taking over from the older generation, which is the Chinua Achebe, the Wole Soyinka, and Ngugi generation, who are now well into their 70s and 80s. So that generation is almost handing over the baton to the younger generation. I think we should do more publishing by publishers, African-born publishers. Again, there are a few publishers coming up, you know, apart from myself. There's Afox Mensa, Sub-Sahara African Publishing, there's Farafina in Nigeria. There's quite a crop of them also coming up. So publishing is in a good place, but I want people to look more widely at what is coming. I think what tends to happen in the north, the global north, is they pick one or two writers and they champion and celebrate them, and they do that to the detriment of all the other writing that is going on. And I think the big publishing houses do this because they have the resources, they have the money to champion. I mean, they give these writers £10,000 award prizes, which is something that we cannot afford. So naturally, they are attracted to that kind of, you know, money and also the fame, the celebrity. But we are left to pick up the pieces, to actually bring together a larger group of voices, of narratives from Africa. And I think we need to be more cautious about just focusing on one or two writers. At the moment, Chimamanda is a wonderfully celebrated writer. I'd like them to look at other writers as well and give them as much time and space as Chimamanda has been given. This is not a criticism at all of Chimamanda. I think she's brilliant. But I'm saying that what tends to happen here in the global north is a focus on one or two published writers, and it makes it very narrow. And I would like to see an expansion of that criticism and the narrative and the writing, you know, the reviewing of valuing of the word that's coming out of Africa, because some really good writing is at the moment coming out. Oxford was the making of me. I loved my time at Oxford. Oxford, for me, it's like somebody had turned a giant golden key in a lock and let me into a world of learning and excellence. And I really enjoyed the little rituals we had to perform before we had our dinner and in the college dinner halls, and meeting every Friday to do our summaries, where we had to debate what topics we've been given to write about. Oxford was a wonderfully collegiate place, and I made lots of friends, and I think the friends I made at Oxford in the year that I did my MBA would stay with me for the rest of my life. So for me, Oxford was a wonderful experience, an expanding of my knowledge horizons, and Oxford has opened a lot of doors for me. I would even say that I believe that Oxford may have something to do with my MBE. I don't know, but Oxford was the making of me. Oxford was great.